It is a well-known fact that sometimes when the weather is cold or dry, we might just cough for a few days and we are okay. But some people cough for longer than few weeks and may even cough out blood. On today's episode, we shall be discussing tuberculosis, everything about tuberculosis. Hello, beautiful saints. Welcome to another one-of-a-kind episode of Kaklife Forum. I am Evelyn Iwoha, and on today's episode, we shall be discussing tuberculosis. Joining me in this discussion is an elegant guest we will meet when we return from this break. Stay with us. Welcome back, Saints. This is Kaklife Forum. I am Evelyn Iwoha. Our topic of discussion today is tuberculosis. Allow me to introduce to you my very special guest in person of Mrs. Adebukola Adetunji. You are very much welcome, Ma. It's a pleasure to have you here. And you are looking stunning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you. All right. Mrs. Adetunji Adebukola is a medical laboratory scientist. She has been a medical laboratory scientist for the past 21 years. She works currently with the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. She is married and blessed with a child. She's passionate about training youth to become better individuals. Thank you very much, Ma.
Most welcome.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure.
Before we get to it, I would like to know, how are you feeling today?
Great, wonderful, wholesome. It's beautiful having you people around me.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you.
And it's a great honor to be in your midst today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Before we get to it, I would like to establish the fact that I have heard people, like, I have like this connection with people who work in the healthcare sector, and sometimes my friends come and they just tell me, there was this patient I met, there was this person I met, she was just coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing.
Yeah.
And, she has been on medications, but she told us that she wasn't consistent with it. So like, then the word tuberculosis, a lot of people have been hearing about it. And, they even say TB.
Yeah.
So what exactly is tuberculosis?
Wow, thank you very much. Tuberculosis, in short, TB, is an infectious disease.
Okay.
That affect the lung, though it can affect other parts of the body.
Wow.
But majorly it affects the lungs.
All right. And
it's caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
Wow.
That is the bacteria that causes tuberculosis.
This is new to me, because when we hear tuberculosis, we just concentrate more on the fact that it's the lung that's affected. But now you mentioned that other parts of the body can be affected by tuberculosis. So what are these other parts? I would like you to...
Actually, they can affect any parts of the body.
Wow.
And that's why we now refer to that aspect of it as extrapulmonary TB.
Wow.
The one that affects the lung is called pulmonary TB, just to be using the medical terminologies.
Okay.
So we have pulmonary TB and we have extrapulmonary TB. The pulmonary tuberculosis is the one that actually affects the lung solely.
Okay.
And whereas the extra pulmonary tuberculosis affects other parts of the body, like it can go to the spine, it can affect the leg.
Wow.
You might see some people, their neck might be swollen. They will have swollen neck, something like boy, but it will be bigger than boy at the back of their at the back of their neck. And by the time that we now collect the aspirates from that swollen part of the body, we'll be able to know that it's actually TB. And your question takes me back to one of my students.
Okay.
The student actually came for industrial attachments years back with us at Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. And the guy came down with tuberculosis, but he didn't really know.
Wow.
He has gone to the hospital and they've been treating, checking. So when he now came down and, we now try to, do all the tests. Okay. And by the time that we now carry out the test, we find out that he actually has the tuberculosis of the spine. But to God be the glory, he was being diagnosed, treated, and he's well.
Wow. No. Wow. Now you mentioned that he went through a lot of tests. I would like that you mention these tests that are used to diagnose tuberculosis.
Oh, beautiful. We have so many tests that you can do. first, the point of when you come to the facility,
Okay.
and you now said that you want to do your tuberculosis test.
Okay.
Before now, it has always been microscopy.
Okay.
But now, we've now, advanced in technology. So it is now gene expert that is point of entry.
Wow.
Before, it was microscopy that was our point of entry.
Yeah.
And, before you would take the sputum, you make your smear. After making the smear, you allow the smear to actually dry. After drying, you stain it with a special dye. And after staining, you allow it to dry again before you now view it on the microscope.
Okay.
And so that actually takes a longer time. It can take like 48 hours before you get your result.
Wow.
But with the advent of gene experts is a molecular-based test.
Okay.
And within 2 hours that you come into the facility, you actually get your result.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would like to know, you said something that that student came down with tuberculosis. Was there any trace that was made to how he contacted tuberculosis? Because I would like to understand that, is it that the causative organism is within the body, or it's maybe lying around on maybe inanimate objects? So like, how can it be contacted?
Oh, great. There are many ways of contacting our tuberculosis.
Okay.
Actually, anybody can get tuberculosis.
Okay.
It's airborne. So it's through aerosol.
Okay.
If anybody that is having active tuberculosis sneezes out now, then it will render millions of bacteria, into the air.
Wow.
And if it's an infected patient, all of us that breathe in the air will definitely breathe in him.
Wow.
Then, it's highly infectious. It can be from human to human.
Okay.
And also it can be from animal to human.
Wow.
So when it's from animal to human, we refer to it as zoonotic infection.
Okay.
Or zoonotic disease. So if it's zoonotic disease, that one is not really common, but we have the Mycobacterium bovis, which is actually contacted through the cattle.
Okay.
Then we have the Mycobacterium avium.
Okay.
That one is contacted through bird.
Wow.
But the one that is actually common, the commonest among them, though very few, is Mycobacterium bovis, the one that we contacted through the cattle. And it's only the cattle rearer that actually comes down with these Mycobacterium bovis. Okay. Why? Because most of the milk, you get it through milk. Okay. And all of us there present do take milk one way or the other.
Of course.
But we actually take the pasteurized one. True. The one that is pasteurized, you can't contact their bovis. But those people that actually take raw milk, and those the Fulani cattle rearer, they actually take raw milk. The Hausas, they take kono, the raw milk. So since it's not pasteurized, definitely they can come down with Mycobacterium bovis. But majorly, it's not really common among the populace, but among the few cattle rearer people that take raw or milk, they can get Mycobacterium bovis.
The conversation is getting really interesting, but I would like us to take a break. Let's find out who the saint of the week is. Stay with us. Our saint of the week is Saint Gabriel the Archangel. Saint Gabriel is an angel who serves as a messenger for God to certain people. He is one of the 3 archangels. Gabriel is mentioned in both the Old and the New Testaments of the Bible. First, in the Old Testament, Gabriel appears to the prophet Daniel to explain his visions. Gabriel is described as one who looked like man, as he interprets Daniel's visions. He speaks to Daniel while he is sleeping. After Gabriel's first visit, Daniel becomes tired and sick for days. Gabriel later visits Daniel again, providing him with more insight and understanding in an answered prayer. In the New Testament, Gabriel, described as an angel of the Lord, first appears to Zacharias, the father of John the Baptist. He tells him,
Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. Luke 1, verse 13. After Elizabeth conceived and was 6 months pregnant, Gabriel appears again. The Gospel of Luke states he was sent from God to Nazareth to visit the virgin married to a man named Joseph. Gabriel said to Mary, "Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women." Luke 1:28. Gabriel told Mary she would conceive by the Holy Spirit and the baby will be the Son of God. After the Annunciation of Mary, Gabriel is not spoken of again. Gabriel is an archangel. He is often depicted in art, clothed in blue or white, and is seen carrying a lily, a trumpet, a shining lantern, a branch from paradise, a scroll, or a scepter. He is most commonly represented in the scene of the Annunciation. Gabriel is recognized as the patron saint of messengers, telecommunication workers, and postal workers. The feast of St. Gabriel was included by Pope Benedict XV in the general Roman calendar in 1921 for celebration on 24th of March. In 1969, the day was officially transferred to 29th September for celebration in conjunction with the feast of the Archangels St. Michael and St. Raphael. St. Gabriel the Archangel, pray for us.
Welcome back, Saints. Our discussion is still centered on fighting tuberculosis. And just before the break, Ma, you were making us to understand that cattle rearers are at a greater risk of contracting tuberculosis.
Mycobacterium
bovis.
Yes.
Bovis.
We have the complex of Mycobacterium family,
Okay.
but the one that they can actually get infected with is Mycobacterium bovis.
So I think that is one risk factor. What are the other things that might put somebody at risk of contracting tuberculosis?
Old age, infants,
Wow.
the children, diabetes,
Wow.
HIV, malnutrition. So those are the risk factors that can actually pre-expose people to tuberculosis. Because actually, when your immune is still intact, the T lymphocyte cell will actually fight any invader.
Wow.
But when the immunity has gone down, is low, then the T lymphocyte, which happen to be the soldiers, will not be able to fight any longer. And they will now render the body system vulnerable to infection. And definitely, Mycobacterium tuberculosis will trigger.
Wow. That is, wow, that's enlightening because it's something that, all these things when when you just feel like tuberculosis is just as basic as, okay, the person is probably coughing excessively, or it's just more than how it seems. So I would like to know, what are those things or what are those signs that you will see in an individual, and even before they go for the test, like these signs and symptoms that would just confirm that, okay, this person has tuberculosis.
Thank you very much. The symptoms of tuberculosis are many, but majorly cough for more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
If anybody around us is coughing persistently for more than 2 weeks, then we need to call the attention of the patient to go to the clinic to get himself tested or herself tested. Also, when you're having night sweats, all of us do sweat, but then when you're not sweating profusely at night, then you should be suspecting TB.
Wow.
When you have weight loss, drastic weight loss, then you cannot really pinpoint that this is actually what happened or what went wrong. And it's not as if you're on a special diet that you expect for you to shed weight. Then weight loss, and the person will lose appetite.
Wow.
We've seen a lot at our facility, but that's why I'm able to say it at my fingertip as if I'm even having the picture of the patient in front of me.
Wow. Have you had any personal contact with anyone that has, come down with tuberculosis?
My darling sister, as a professional, there is no way you will not be in contact with people that have tuberculosis. Because when they come into the facility, we see them.
Okay.
We see them, we talk to them, we give them, health talk so that we'll be able to guide them, to give them the hope that they can still live and survive it, provide that they abide with the rules and regulations involved. And definitely taking their medication as expected. By God's grace, they will come out of it.
Now you mentioned medications. What are these medications used in the treatment of tuberculosis?
Thank you very much. We have several medications that we use in treatment of tuberculosis. We have them in two types. We have the first-line drug, which are rifampicin, isoniazid, ethambutol. Those are the potent anti-TB drugs.
Okay.
But the one that is actually more potent is the rifampicin.
Okay.
And that's why we're always skeptical and afraid when patients that we're treating did not respond to rifampicin.
Wow.
Because that means the person is now being resistant to rifampicin, and rifampicin happens to be one of the potent drugs for TB. Then we have the second-line drug, which are aminoglycosides or injectables. These are kanamycin, amikacin, and capreomycin. Then we have our fluoroquinolone, is part of the second-line drugs too. The fluoroquinolones are moxifloxacin and levofloxacin. But with the advent of the drug-resistant TB, I didn't really want to. That's why I want to pause. I didn't want to go to drug-resistant TB.
Okay.
But there is no way we talk about TB, the medication, drugs, that we are not going to mention drug resistance. So with the advent of drug-resistant TB, the researchers and the scientists are out there working permanently just to know what particular drug, which one will be able to cure and, give succumb to our patient. So based on that, our scientists have rolled out more additional drugs to the second-line drugs.
Wow.
And we have arbedacolin, clovasamine, linacinide, and denalamine.
Wow. So I don't know. I would really like that you answer one of my questions, but let's go on another break. Let's meet with the Know Your Faith crew for the Know Your Faith session. Stay with us.
Hi fam, you're welcome to this episode of Know Your Faith series. I am Elefachi. Today, we'll be looking at why the solemnity of Christ the King marked the end of the church's liturgical year. You've thought of it too before, right? Feast of Christ the King also represents solemnity of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe. And it is celebrated in honor of Jesus Christ as Lord over all creation. Essentially, it's a magnification of the Feast of the Ascension, which was established by Pope Pius XI in 1925. Originally, it was celebrated on the last Sunday in October, but in the revised liturgical calendar declared by Pope Paul VI in 1969, it was moved to the last Sunday of Ordinary Time just before Advent. Basically, the solemnity falls between the 20th to the 26th of November every year. That is, either the second to the last or the last Sunday of every November. And that automatically ends the church's liturgical year. Now, this feast ends the year to show Christ's dominion. The liturgical calendar begins with the preparation for his coming. That's Advent. Then we have his birth, his works, his persecution and death, his ascension, and then it ends with proclaiming Christ as King of the universe. This just tells us that amidst everything Christ went through during his life on earth, he still remains king of everything created. You know I love stories, right? Feel free to gist me how the last session in your parish was. And please subscribe, like, and share this video. Until next time, be bold, be Catholic.
Welcome back, Saints. If you're joining us for the first time, the focus of our discussion is tuberculosis. Just before the break, Mom, we're going to make us to understand how long does the treatment of tuberculosis last? With all of these drugs that you have mentioned, how long?
Well, for the patients that are drug sensitive, they can take like 3 months.
Okay.
The resistant patient, we have different categories of resistance. We have monoresistant, we have multi-drug resistant, we have poly-resistant, we have pre-XDR resistance, and we have XDR resistant. XDR resistance means extensively drug resistant. Actually, we don't always pray for extensively drug resistance patient, because that means those patients that already fail both the first and the second line or the categories of drug.
Yeah.
So we'll just continue to try other combinations of drug, or go back to the one that they've used before, just to know that what actually went wrong. But for monoresistant, like leaf resistant, I mentioned rifampicin, isoniazid, and ethambutol. If a patient is actually resistant to RIF, we are always scared, because rifampicin is one of the most potent first-line drug. And, if it's drug-sensitive patients, within 6 months, the patient should be able to get cure if it takes the drug very well. But if it is drug resistant, it can take, for the drug sensitive, within 3 months, 6 months, the patient should be clear of but if it's drug resistant, it can take from 6 to 9 months.
Wow.
Depending. At times, they don't always treat them at the facility, like those clinic. They will go to special center for that one. And the person will stay there for the duration of the months for them to take their drug. So if it is not months, the person will be at that clinic for that 9 months.
Wow. Yeah. So this
is as bad as that.
Is it that the length, after the whole period of treatment, the tuberculosis is cured finally, or is the viral load is just reduced? Or
No. It's not viral.
Okay.
Because it's not a virus-based infection. It's bacterial infection. So what happened is, for drug-sensitive patient, the person that just gets infected for the first time can get cured.
Okay.
If you come and you take your medicine very well, the adult center, they'll be monitoring you, giving you your the drug package, and there is always this follow-up, just to know if the patient is actually taking the drug. By the time you come back to the clinic, they will want to see the empty pack, and they will employ the one of the family member to actually supervise, because with the health worker might not be able to come down to your house to follow up. So we now engage one of the family members to help us, so that we'll be able to know that the person is really taking the drug.
Wow.
And there was this invention of phone, that when you want to take it, you snap, you do everything, and you show the package. So that kind of follow-up is actually helping to know that. But as a patient, if you truly love yourself too and you want to get cured, there is no point, forcing you to do it, because you really want to live. If you have a purpose on health and you want to fulfill that purpose, you will definitely take the medication judiciously, and you come out of it.
Wow.
And another thing that we do is that when the patients are coming for their drugs, as they're picking their drugs, every month there is what you call follow-up. This follow-up, we collect a sputum sample from the patient.
Wow.
We go through the microscopy again. We do the culture.
Okay.
And we do microscopy just to know the level of the bacilli load.
Okay. Bacilli.
If the bacilli load is still very high, then we start suspecting drug-resistant TB.
Wow.
But if it's actually reducing, that means the patient is really taking the medication as at when due and is taking it seriously.
Okay.
And by God's grace, it will get killed.
I would like you to encourage our viewers. There might just be one person or two who have had contact with people who have tuberculosis, or they know someone who has tuberculosis. So what would you say should be the specific precautions they should take?
Precautions: don't share their cutleries with them. Don't share their plates with them. And make sure that at least you're not living in a crowded environment.
Okay.
If you are living in a one-room apartment, then there should be a way of, getting that ventilated room area for yourself. There should be a distance between the patient and the... Fine. If the person is so close to you, there is no way you abandon the person. You just have to get closer. So you can just to prevent stigmatization, because even as we are doing that, we have to be careful of stigmatization because they can actually sue us or do anything of such. So just use your surgical mask. But for health workers, we cannot use surgical mask.
So what are we going to use?
There is this mask that we call N95. It's a respirator, actually. I'm sorry, if I had known earlier, I would have brought an example for us to see. We use it. It's a particulate mask. So it will definitely entrap the bacilli and will not be able to breathe it in. But it's not everybody at home that can afford N95 because it's actually expensive. But for health workers, we use it. But not only N95, we use other PPE, personal protective equipment, like your glove, your gown, which is your lab coats. There is difference between lab gown and lab coats. The lab coat is the white one that we normally wear around. But the lab gown is blue. Is blue. So when you actually want to do your culture, that's when you put on your lab gown. And you now wear it into the maximum containment, which is BSL-3. So that's where you are. You don't process TB patients, put them openly or in just any lab. It has to be processed in BSL-3 lab because that is the maximum containment. Because if you do not, the person doing this will come down with TB too.
Thank you very much, Ma. It has been an enlightening conversation about tuberculosis. And now it's a call for us to be aware of ourselves, to be aware of what we do, who we have contact with. Please, if you know anyone who might have been coughing for about 2 weeks and even more, please encourage the person to go to a clinic and get tested. And please, it is our own duty to show them love and support and not stigmatize them. If you have questions about tuberculosis, you have contributions, please drop them in the comment section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominican Media. Follow us at CFF on TV and Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I remain Evelyn Iwoha. Till next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye-bye.
Bye.